Hey sweeties, it's your girl Shanice back at it again with Little Bites of Christ. Today we will be making jerk chicken with cajun plantains and fried cabbage. Yum. While we cook, we will be talking about what the woman with the issue of blood revealed about faith in Jesus. So without further ado, let's hop into today's video. So to give a little context, the woman with the issue of blood is seen in Mark 5, Matthew 9, and Luke 8. In the story, we are shown a woman who suffered from what scholars believe to be a menstrual issue. She basically had chronic bleeding for the last 12 years of her life. During this time, it would have been especially heartbreaking and hard to live in such a way because under the Levitical law, her condition would have made her continuously unclean. This meant she was probably scared, alone, frustrated, and very desperate. But we see that this story is central to many conversations about faith across the world because it was her faith that healed her. Which brings us to the first thing that I learned from the woman with the issue of blood. And what I learned is that faith requires effort. In Luke 8:42, we read, "As Jesus went with him, the crowds pressed around him, including a woman who had suffered from bleeding for 12 years. During his time of earthly ministry, Jesus was very popular. There was always crowds and crowds of people around him, so one can just imagine this little lady pushing and straining against the crowd, trying to get to Jesus, and she is just saying, "If only I could touch the hem of his garment." That was effort. It was her belief that Jesus was going to heal her, to make a way when there previously had been no way out of her issue, that gave her the strength to muscle her way through the crowd to get to Jesus. I'm sure most of us have heard of the verse from the book of James that says, "Faith without works is dead," and God wants us to realize that He meant that. And even though this woman was dealing with her issue of blood, I think God wants us to realize that He created us with strength in our bodies and a mind to think. He wants us to use these things to partner with Him in our efforts. We were not created as useless, weak beings. He created us with purpose and strength. So while He knows that some things may be scary, while He knows that we may be going through things, He wants us to have a trust in Him, a faith in Him that allows us to have confidence that no matter the circumstances, everything will be okay. The second thing that the woman with the issue of blood taught me is that a lot of times faith is our last choice. We see in Mark 26 that it says, "This woman, she had borne much agony under the care of many physicians and had spent all she had, but to no avail. Instead, her condition only grown worse." And I'm not here to say vaccines are bad, going to the doctor is bad, seeing a physician is bad, using medicine is bad. What I'm saying we can think about is, do we think of other things first, or do we think of God first? Do we go to God first? See, sometimes God will allow us to go through our issues, through our hardships, because He knows that when we reach rock bottom, we will understand that He is the rock at the bottom. He is the strong and immovable thing that is holding us up. And we can see that in Psalm 18:2. It is declared, "The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I will trust, my buckler and the horn of my salvation, in my high tower." Allowing us to go through 12 years of chronic illness might be an act of mercy from God, because He knows that those 12 years are hard, but eternity without Him is harder. This helped me to remember to have my eyes on Jesus at all times. In good times, my eyes are up. In hardship, my eyes are up. In bleak moments, the boring moments, my eyes are up. My eyes stay up, or I try to keep them up, because I know that when I start looking down, when I start looking to the side, to the other side, to my friend next to me, to the men ahead of me, to the woman behind me, I start to lose touch of Jesus, which leads to my suffering. And the last thing that the woman with the issue of blood taught me about faith is that faith is an awareness of something bigger and greater than ourselves. So we talked about how under Levitical law, this woman would have been ostracized. She would have been shunned away. She would have been looked at crazy for even being out and about, especially in a crowd of people. But what this woman had was an awareness that Jesus was near. She had heard the stories, and in her heart, she said, if he can do it for others, he can do it for me. So she didn't care about the crazy looks. She didn't care about what people were going to say. She didn't care about any possible punishments from mere man, because she knew that there was a greater being in the midst. In Psalm 42:7, we see a verse that says, deep calls unto deep. In the roar of your waterfalls, all your waves and breakers have swept over me. For most of us, there will come a point in our human living that we will reach a point of suffering, of sorrow, of desperation, that something in us, even if we don't even know Jesus yet, will call out to him and ask him to come and rescue us. In Psalm 139, 7 through 10, it says, where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there. So we know that there's something in us that calls out to God. We can read in his word that he is near to us. He is everywhere. But it's not until we have an awareness, a true awareness of God, that we will be able to have faith. We can think about this in terms of an absent parent. The parent may say to the child, hey, I'm going to come pick you up this weekend and we are going to go shopping. That child might want to believe that what the parent said is true, but because the parent has been absent in the past, it's going to be hard for that child to believe in that absent parent. What God wants us to understand is that he is a very present Father, that we can trust in him, that he is who he says he is, and he will do what he said he will do. So just to recap, what I learned about faith from the woman with the issue of blood is that faith requires effort. Faith is sometimes our last choice when it should be our first. And that faith is an awareness of something bigger than ourselves. I hope this video was a blessing to someone out there. Faith is such a big part of our Christian walk. If you think about it, faith is everything. If you don't believe in what Jesus did and what he says, then what are we doing? Are we actually Christian? So hopefully this video will get you thinking about faith and maybe where you lack and can trust God more. Or maybe this video is just a reminder to you to remain steadfast in the Lord. The jerk chicken was fabulous. Plantains with the Cajun seasoning, amazing. And you can't go wrong with anything that has bacon in it. The cabbage was just as fabulous. If you make this dish, let me know. Comment down below what you thought about it. Or comment down below where you may be lacking in faith and need prayer. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay blessed.